Mike Kehoe has spoken. The governor of Missouri has been insistent in a conversation he had with our good friend Scott Fawn of the Missouri Times over the weekend that this redistricting plan in Missouri is not necessarily a done deal. But that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing it's all but a done deal. That they will go from a 6-2 map in Missouri for congressional seats to a 7-1 map. Only a matter of when. But Mike Kehoe over the weekend joined our good friend Scott Fawn. And he was down at the state fair. He got an in-person interview with him. And he talked to him on This Week in Missouri Politics. And here's what the governor of Missouri said about the potential redistricting in Missouri.
It doesn't seem like a Mike Kehoe thing.
Well, what does seem like a Mike Kehoe thing is making sure that the Speaker in our U.S. House of Representatives stays there. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries does not match Missouri's values. And as you know, the conversation about the map is not new. It's been going on since 2021. Remember how bogged down the Senate got over the existing map that we ultimately passed? There was a lot of grinding of the teeth in there.
Can you tell Missourians that whatever map is sent to you, it'll be something you approve, not something that's done in Washington?
I can tell Missourians that whatever map that comes to me will be something that I'm in favor of.
You think it's going to happen then?
Well, I would say there's a chance, but, there's some moving parts that we've all got to put together, and we're going to work really hard to try to figure out a path.
Governor Kehoe, thank you so much for the time. We're going to let you get back to enjoying the state fair.
Hey, thank you for showcasing.
That was the end of the conversation there between Mike Kehoe, the governor of Missouri, and Scott Fawn from the Missouri Times. And Scott doing a great job with that show as always. So Kehoe is playing it close to the vest when he says, well, we'll have to see how it plays out. My understanding in talking to people is that if it doesn't happen, it would be a shocker. If Missouri does not end up next month when they go back for veto session, also redistricting the state map, it would be a huge upset where they go from a 6-2 to a 7-1 and Cleaver's out. Now, Cleaver has obviously been quoted on this, but he has not been outwardly super vocal about it. There have been a lot of state reps, a lot of state senators who I feel like have been much more outward in front of the cameras speaking publicly about this than what we've seen from Emanuel Cleaver himself. And I'm not clear on whether or not that's because Cleaver has been working hard behind the scenes to try to save himself. I don't know the answer. I have no idea. But it's interesting to me that he has not been front and center. I feel like I've seen more from Quentin Lucas on this than I have Emanuel Cleaver. And I don't know if that's because Lucas is like, hey, that's my gig coming up in a couple of years, or why he is more vocal about it. But Cleaver, it feels like to me, has been kind of sitting on the sidelines a little bit here, John, which has surprised me.
I see. Well, the more I would hear from him, the more likely I would be inclined to go for redistricting, on the other hand.
Well, to his credit,
mm-hmm.
Maybe that's exactly it.
He had an initial statement.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What, first day, first week in there?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's it, to your point. Everybody else is doing all the barking.
That's where the self-awareness factor matters. And I'm not saying Emanuel Cleaver's the most self-aware guy.
You mustard moo.
I mean, he was that guy too, so there's only so much self-awareness to go around. But you compare that to Quentin Lucas, who sometimes can be his own worst enemy, right? When Quentin Lucas gets loud and barky, it just pisses off Jeff City, and then they get annoyed, and then they do things on purpose just to spite Quentin Lucas. That has happened between the mayor of Kansas City and the state legislature. Sometimes just being quiet, putting your head down, and minding your own business can be the best thing that you do for your own self-preservation. And I don't know if that's what Cleaver's doing here or what exactly is going on. But if it is, then you know what? I'll give the guy some credit, John.
Yeah, well, if he had another 10 years in office, maybe he would be barking a little louder, right? But, he's ridden the gravy train about the last stop.
Yeah. He's been on that gravy train for a long time. Ain't that the truth as well? But he is a guy who would he would have his hand-picked successor, right? I do think that for the last few years, Emanuel Cleaver, who's, if he's not 80, he's approaching it. He's been looking at this and saying to himself, okay, what does my off-ramp look like? When does it happen? And who exactly do I want to replace me? And I promise you, no matter what they say about each other publicly, Emanuel Cleaver is not going to be the guy that picks Quentin Lucas to be his successor. And I know the mayor always gets mad when I say that there's, not a lot of love lost between the two, but I promise you that's the case. Emmanuel Cleaver does not want Quentin Lucas to be in that seat if that seat remains as is or is still a somewhat winnable seat for Republicans. That's not something that he wants to see happen. So now you tie it back to what's likely going to happen. And either way, Quentin Lucas may actually be better suited for this new made-up 5th congressional district than what it currently is, where it's more of a blue district, obviously. But if it becomes red-ish, Quentin Lucas may say, you know what, I'm going for it because I'll appeal to some moderates. He may go that route, John.
Well, I was checking to see if there were any American Association baseball franchises in the D.C. area to see if Frank could pick up a little extra bucks. Should he be the chosen individual?
No.
See, better the devil you know sometimes, right?
No.
Maybe Frank's so confident in his current position because he thinks he's got another one coming up.
Would you stop giving our worst politicians really bad ideas around here?
Oh, it's so bad. I'm sure it occurred to him already.
I know, but stop with that. On the text line, 913-408-7957. Pete, Cleaver might be eyeing the retirement. It's time to get back into the car wash business. Oh, come on now. Come on. Come on. I needed a car wash joke somewhere in there. Someone had to make it for me. No, you gotta stay in Congress and ride the taxpayer gravy train to pay off the car wash loan. That's how this works.
Well, there is a big infrastructure project in Grandview running from Blue Ridge, and it'll go past the place there, so maybe get his final project in.
Oh, my goodness. So, when it comes to Kehoe, I think he knows he's going to ruffle a lot of feathers. But if you're Mike Kehoe, are you going to be the guy right now that basically tells Trump to pound sand when you got to win one more election to be a 2-term governor in Missouri? If he was in his second term, Kehoe might try to figure out a way out of this thing. But if he doesn't do this, you know and I know how the game ends. Trump finds a candidate to primary Kehoe in 2028, and he'll get his doors blown off. You know that Bill Eigel or somebody else would line up to be the next governor and would lobby to Trump and say, I'll be your guy, I'll get a 7-1 map and, yada, 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 and then Kehoe's toast. So he knows that's part of the game here. Not saying it's fair, not saying it's right, but it's where the political landscape is right now in this country, especially inside of the Republican Party. So what do you do if you're Mike Kehoe? How do you balance this thing to say, well, I don't think a 7-1 map is the play, if that's how he feels deep down? And he's saying all the, air quotes, right things. Well, Missouri's not a Hakeem Jeffries state. No, I get it, but that's not really necessarily how the Speaker of the House decision works, right? As long as you figure out a way that you still have the 5th district and then also Sam Graves' district and then also Mark Alford's district to be R plus double digits, that's what you got to do right now. If they can draw that map, then it takes away the concern that you're going to create 3 purple districts on the western side of Missouri. If you can figure that out, then I guess it's game on. But if you can't, if that path does not exist, then you got to be careful what you wish for.